Hi, I'm Didi Emmons, and I'm at Eva's Garden in South Dartmouth, Massachusetts. She grows about 200 different kinds of herbs and greens. So I'm going to make a tabouleh today, but I'm going to make it with Israeli couscous, or it's also called Maftoul, a slightly different version. This is a Palestinian couscous. And we're going to make a tabouleh style salad, but instead of using the regular Italian parsley and mint, I'm going to be using some of her tremendous herbs that are very interesting and delicious. So here I have the couscous, and I've just boiled this like pasta for about 10 minutes, and it's very easy to cook. It just boils like crazy, like pasta, and then you just pass it through a colander, rinse with cold water, add a little bit of olive oil to make sure that things aren't sticking. So that's what I've done here. So now I have the herbs. So the African basil is probably the most intense, and probably to me it's the most intriguing of the herbs here today. And they have these beautiful flowers on top, which are really sweet because of the nectar that goes into the flower. But the leaf itself is incredibly flavorful. It sort of tastes like a combination of clove and basil and mint and camphor. So there's a little bit of Bengay in here, a little bit of that smell of a medicinal smell, but worked into it all, it's just like exactly what it needs. It's a beautiful herb. So I'm going to use the leaves, and I'm going to chop them up, as well as the flowers. I might save this one for garnish because it's so pretty. But the rest of the leaves and flowers, I'm just going to chop like I would for a tabouleh. And what I like about tabouleh is that you get almost as much green as you do bulgur. So today we're using a pasta instead of the bulgur. But I like the fact that in tabouleh, traditionally, you use a lot of greens, so that's really healthy and it's delicious. So I'm just bunching it up with my hands here as much as I can. Pretty much is how I chop every herb. That way I can do it in one fell swoop. And you don't want to chop these herbs too fine, because if you chop them too fine, then what happens is you lose the flavor. So here we have chervil, and chervil is it's like a miniature parsley. It's really beautiful. It has a slight anise flavor, or fennel flavor, or licorice flavor. And Eva grows it, and you know, like so many herbs that Eva grows, the flavor is just so brilliant versus what you might get from a wholesaler or from a supermarket. So I'm convinced that with herbs, you are best off growing them yourself, because the minute you pick that herb from the ground, it starts to die, and it's so thin. That leaf is so thin. So here we have the chervil. Behind me is a pizza oven that was built by one of the lead farmers here. So this is claytonia, and it's already flowered, and it's also called miner's lettuce because in Northern California this grew wild around the gold mines, and people started eating it. And it's almost like watercress. It's very crunchy. So it's going to give the salad a lot of juiciness. We're going to add all the greens, and well, that's a weed, and these are herbs. African basil, by the way, was crossed in the United States. It was created in the United States. It's crossed between two different basils. Okay, now we have the chives. We have our little salad, and if it were up to Eva, she probably wouldn't add any dressing because the herbs have so much flavor. She might add a little lemon juice. But I can't resist adding some olive oil, especially if it's a really nice olive oil, which this is. It just has such beautiful flavor. It's good for you, and it makes everything go down really smoothly. We're also going to add a little cheese. So the lemon. You don't have to use lemon. You can use vinegar. I just made a whole huge batch of tarragon vinegar which is basically just throwing tarragon in vinegar, cider vinegar. So, got some salt and pepper. I'm going to add a couple of carrots just for color. Grown in an unheated greenhouse. So I'm going to add these carrots. Run away. So I'm going to add the feta. And this is, I bought this at a Middle Eastern market. It really doesn't matter too much, but the ones that you find at ethnic markets are the ones that you find there are usually fresher and they're creamier. So this is it, the couscous salad with the African basil and the chervil and the claytonia and the chives. You can use whatever herbs you have, and it's great made and eaten right away. And overnight, it doesn't do so well in the fridge. So try to eat it the same day and enjoy.